So happy to see many old friends here. Thank you so much. You know, Frank, I don't know who gave the title of tonight's talk, but it's actually 3 words that we say in a funeral or memorial service as we lift up the light in front of the altar, as the officiant does, and we say, life, death, freedom. Life, death, freedom. Life, death, freedom. And then you reverse it. Freedom, life, death. Freedom, life, death. Freedom, life, death. Probably, Noah, you, Kodo, you conjured up the title. And I've officiated quite a few funerals and memorial services. Just such an honor to actually be at the threshold which life, death, freedom points to. Hi, old friend.
Hi. I'm glad to be here with you. Explore with the Sangha here, both here and online. Yeah, I seem to be having some difficulty with that. Is that any better?
You're illuminated now.
Yeah? Okay. Thanks, Benny. So I was saying is how nice it is to be here with the Sangha, both here in the room and online. And really, we just wanted to see what's on your hearts and minds, yeah? And sort of explore together, have a bit of an inquiry together, a bit of an exchange together. So we're very comfortable sitting here in silence. But if you have something on your hearts and minds that you'd like to speak to, now is the
Going
time.
to essence.
Yeah. What's on your hearts and minds? It doesn't need to be profound. It could be something quite simple, you know. You know, we're not talking about anything really important, just life, death, and freedom. So, which of those interest you the most? Yeah, there's a hand in the back of the room. It's Mike for you.
It's such an honor to be in the room with you. I just finished your 5 invitations after the passing of my life partner. It's about, he just 49 days was released on September 12th. And I wonder if you might speak to the freedom part, because that's the part that I'm having the most trouble with right now in my grief.
Yeah.
I can maybe, he's free, but I don't feel free without him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, let's stay for a second. Stand for a second.
Yes.
Good. There you are. I want to be able to see you.
Thank
First
you.
of all, can I know your name?
Yeah, so my name is Tressa, and my Dharma name is Bushin.
Okay, Bushin. Is that good to call you Bushin?
Please, I appreciate that, especially in a temple Dharma setting.
And can you translate Bushin for us?
My understanding is it's a contraction of the Japanese words Butsu and Shin, so Buddha, heart, mind.
Yeah, beautiful. Buddha, heart, mind. There's freedom. So grieving can be a kind of freedom because it gives us access to ourselves and to the truth in a way that many things, you know, in a way other things can't, in a way. It's so immediate and intimate and powerful, yeah. Sometimes it can sweep us away, but also it can expose ourselves to ourselves, yeah? Are you finding that? I don't mean the freedom part yet. I'm curious about the grief part.
Well, yes. I mean, I never really felt so raw and therefore authentic,
Uh-huh.
in relation to myself, but also others. I mean, I feel there's like a stage missing in the whole Kubler-Ross
Yeah.
schematic. And for me, that's a kind of transformation, but I'm in it. So I don't know
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. So, but raw and authentic. That's your in, right? That you can speak to that. What's it like? Raw. What's it like raw? Just whatever face, whatever quality it has for you right now. What is it like? Raw.
These tears.
Tears are raw. Yeah. Tears are raw. They're immediate, they're intimate, they're raw. What else?
Truth.
Truth. What do you mean, truth?
I have very limited bandwidth for people's good intentions that come through in platitudes because it's okay. They don't know what to say. So I find silence is where I am most comforted right now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think it's often the case when we're grieving that we want to be with others who understand it, know it, or else alone with the truth of it. Yeah. And, people want to rush you along, right? They want to make you feel better. So they say things like what you're calling platitudes. That's just their fear speaking, often. We want to rush people through grief as if there was as if it was like some kind of illness, like you're better now, yeah, once you've been through it. But that's not how grief is. Grief opens us up. It strips away all the defenses. Yeah. And when we're no more defended, then we can see what's really true. And you're somewhere in that process. You can't skip it. You can't skip ahead. There's no shortcut. There's only right through the middle. Yeah. Can you do that?
I believe I'm doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, there's a kind of fierceness in defense in an undefended heart.
Yes. Beautiful. Look at all those beautiful ways you have of teaching us. Wow. No, because you're speaking from something that's real. This is not theoretical. This is real. You're in the middle of it. Thank you for showing us that.
Thank you so much. And just your work in the world has meant so much to me and others I know.
What else is on your hearts and minds? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to be here. I did Love and Death last year online and found it revelatory and profound. And I have a question that I've been thinking about for a while, which is, if there is a Buddhist position on assisted suicide, what is it?
It's such an important question, Anne. Many years ago, actually it was 1992, it's many years ago, I was in Dharamsala at a science meeting with His Holiness talking about near-death experiences. And I had the opportunity to kind of slide up to His Holiness and to talk about or ask him what his reflection was in relation to using morphine as a way to mitigate pain, but knowing that it would also have an effect on people's consciousness. And he gave me a very surprising answer. He said, mercy. What is most merciful? I don't think there is a, quotes, official view per se. You think about Thich Quang Duc, who immolated himself in 1966 in order to stop a war, or Sister Mai, the same. But honestly, in looking at this field, it's a slippery slope. And particularly in the efficient West, allowing natural death for AND, it's called, allowing natural death, might be the least merciful thing you could do, but also the most merciful thing. So the thing about Zen practice that is really powerful is that compassion is completely context dependent. There are no rules. But being context dependent, you have to actually be in relation to the context of your lived experience and the experience in that moment. That's not so easy. Some people have a different structure in their neural patterning. Some people are so distracted, they're not in touch with anything except their iPhones. So I would say mercy is one side, and alongside mercy is ethics. And just as mercy is very elusive, I would say ethics is the same. For some, Thich Quang Duc violated the Buddhist precepts by immolating himself. For others, it was the greatest act, for other Buddhists, it was the greatest act that could ever be imagined, that one would, just as the hungry tiger story in the Jataka tales, sacrifice one's life to benefit others. One hopes that the practice allows one to look very deeply. Not only the caregivers, but the person who's considering that choice. And as I said, looking deeply is not so easy for many. I wish I could give you a simpler answer. I think the only answer I can give is practice.
Things are never simple, except when they are. Thank you.
Let's take a breath. Life, death, freedom. What does that mean to you? Mary Jo.
How are love and death related?
Well,
See, he's love, I'm death. And we feel very related. Go for it.
you know, I don't know. I've been with a lot of people who died, right? 1,000 or more, I don't know. And one of the questions that's on people's mind when they're dying, or just before they're dying, is love. You know, if we were to paraphrase it or summarize it, we might say the questions are something like, am I loved? Or did I love well? Yeah. Not in an evaluative sense, but just a reflection in a way. And so those are the questions that often come up for people, on their hearts and minds, before they die. And so it seems to me that if those questions are one of the most important questions that arise in the time of our dying, well, they're important now, huh? And we shouldn't wait until we find ourselves on our own deathbed to figure them out, or to address them, is a better way to say it, And I often say that to imagine that at the time of your dying, you're going to have the physical strength, the mental clarity, the emotional stability to do the work of a lifetime is an absurd gamble. I don't recommend it. So practice now, work with these questions now. Take that question, drop that question into your zazen. What's the relationship between love and death? See what happens. What happens in your body? What happens in your heart? What does it do to your mind? Good enough?
Thank you.
Okay.
Dayun has a question over here.
Oh, hello.
Thank you, Roshi, Sensei, Frank. Chinese word 自由 mean freedom, and 自由 mean 由自性中升起. So freedom is rise from self-nature. So that means life dies and stop life. Again, dies again. That means life dies and back to the self-nature. Is that the relationship about life, death, and freedom?
What do you think?
I didn't get the whole question. Do you want to repeat it?
If I understood correctly, he was using the Chinese word for freedom, and that this, if I understood, the cycle you were pointing us to was life, death, and return. Was that accurate?
My question is, life, death is a circle. And freedom
Say it once more time. Life, death is a circle.
a circle.
Okay.
Freedom means stop this circle.
Love the circle.
Stop.
Stop the circle. Sorry.
Yeah. Is that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Dayun, thank you. I think that is the case. Life in one way is relative, death in another way is relative, but freedom is not. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roshi.
And also pointing out that freedom arises in the direct experience of our true nature, of our basic goodness. of dropping through the layers of identity, what's called the plague of identity, to the place that is non-sticky, where there's no identity, nothing to grab you. Anyway, that's, the Buddhist perspective.
Yeah, and this goes back to the thought you had earlier about grieving and transformation. The process of dying, particularly the process of dying over time, long-term illness, often has this experience of either the sense of self, the sense of small, separate sense of self, either being stripped away by the process of dying or gracefully given up. But all the ways we define ourselves, all our roles, all the, stories we tell, they start to fall away. And then we get down to something much more essential, much more basic. Yeah. We have the opportunity to see that, I think. And so I think often that dying has about it certain conditions which are conducive to recognizing our true self, our Buddha nature. Yeah. It's not going to happen necessarily automatically. I'm not suggesting that. But there are helpful conditions, actually. Yeah.
Well, maybe I disagree slightly.
Go ahead. You do that often.
That's the basis of our friendship. I think it actually happens automatically, but we miss it.
Yeah. Better said.
Oh, you agree with me?
No, that's just better said.
I'll talk to you later.
Earlier she was referencing the schematic that Kubler-Ross had. And this schematic, you all know it, it's familiar in the society. It was really about grieving, and it ends with acceptance. That's the end of the line, so to speak. But I think it's just the beginning. I think acceptance is still a choice. It's still a sense of self choosing to accept. Yeah. But I think often what I've noticed, and maybe you've seen this too, often after this acceptance in the dying process anyway, kind of chaos often arises, where people, when the sense of self that we were describing is falling away, kind of chaos can show up. People don't know who they are. They don't know what to do. I mean, who am I without all my stories, without all of my structures? And then I think in this chaos, sometimes, often, what Roshi's pointing to starts to emerge, which is the possibility for transformation, the possibility for seeing beyond our small, separate sense of self. Yeah. And as Roshi's pointing out, I think this opportunity arises for everybody, but some people sleep through it. And we do that in our everyday life too, don't we? I mean, here it is. Not something over there. So that's what we get to, that's why we get to practice. So we're not sleeping through our life and sleeping through this opportunity to be who we are.
Yeah, I think this is what Dayun was referring to.
Yeah, that's the gesture Suzuki Roshi made
Yeah.
in his dying.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
There's a question. There was one.
Hello, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about what great freedom might be in the context of the society we live in, where, well, it's a number of things, but immigrants being deported to like raids and like food insecurity and lack of hospitals or like run the gamut. But I think many people in the U.S. and in fact the U.S. is now experiencing like some of the poverty and dictatorial status of living in a different land that hasn't been so free. And so I want to sort of make a distinction, and I think you made it with you're saying that it's sort of developing bodhicitta, a state of mind in which one, it's a freedom in which it's not dependent on cause and effect, i.e. that, and you can step into that mindset, whether it's self-immolating or like Tibetan monks who were imprisoned and tortured and so forth and still remain sane and, still vibrant with that bodhicitta. And so is there a way that as Buddhist practitioners can like lighten up a room and just through being more present can not make more people present, but like that there's a resonance, you could say, that we can share. And how would you encourage people who are discouraged, that don't feel free, to find support, to find that freedom that isn't like buying the next car or, et cetera, or going to work and doing what you have to do, et cetera. Sorry if I went too long.
Problem. There were so many questions
Yeah.
in what you were articulating. I often think of Nelson Mandela, who was, rightly so, resistant and fought against apartheid and was imprisoned and humiliated, urinated on, taken down, and ultimately he found freedom. I think there are two really important aspects. One is how suffering can actually break you open to freedom, as long as you don't identify it with yourself. In other words, have an attitude toward suffering, which is self-pitying. The other is what we were referring to, the value of practice, of really coming home to who you are, much in the way Dayun was saying. Our self-nature is not small self, but a self that's radically inclusive. I think one of the very important things for Westerners who have lived in the bubble of privilege is that bubble is slowly deflating because we can't escape the depredations that are happening in our society, no matter what side we're on. We can't turn away from Gaza. We can't turn away from Ukraine, Yemen, Syria. We can't turn away from the men and women in the field picking strawberries, or the person who is demonizing everything through racism, sexism, and worse. That also is suffering. And that's what practice opens us to, the truth of suffering, the root of it, and that freedom is possible. I also don't quite believe that, honestly, I've been in the room with some pretty great people, but it's the work of the individual, not just the shine off of His Holiness or Bishop Tutu or Nelson Mandela. It's your work to do. It's your work to retrieve your enlightenment that you projected onto a wise person. I mean, that's the point, I think, anyway.
Thank you, Roshi.
Todd?
So, in this pool of contemplation, we have love, death, freedom, and life. And so I want to add another term into that, and then just see about the interaction, which is estrangement. So when you have a human that is alive in their body, but their heart has become dead in that relationship where there was once life in relationship, that there is currently a chosen death through a fierce estrangement. And so there's no specific question, just the interaction of that in that field that we have currently.
So that's the opposite of interbeing. I know you're a Thich Nhat Hanh person, so I just want to reflect that that's what estrangement is. Thank you for stirring that up.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's deeply personal. I have a 18-year-old child.
Take your time. Your time. Don't speak over it.
And yeah, April of 2022, which was two things. It was the time when my sense of calling was given clarity, and it's also the last time that I saw Min. And also my life partner is still alive. And my life partner will respond, but if I reach out, but not with any sense of warmth, opening there. And Min has not been reciprocal in any way since October of 2022. The last time I tried to make contact with Nesh, she's named after Ganesh, the bringer and remover of obstacles. There were so many invitations in Dharma talks the last time I was at Magnolia Grove of people talking about reaching out to loved ones where there's a closed connection and opening those connections. There were multiple invitations towards that. So I felt that invitation, And then there was an invitation also, a longtime friend of both of ours, where they had become estranged. She lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and they had some bad weather not that long ago, some very, very bad weather. And Naish reached out to Meg for the first time since 2018. After that. So there was that, oh, maybe there's an opening in her heart to connect, because there was in this case. So that's when I reached out the last time. And I called, and she was on the other line, so she didn't pick up. And then I said that I was interested in reconciliation. And when she first answered, she was like, oh, I would have picked up the phone if I wasn't on the other line. But then when I brought in reconciliation, that was a little much.
Piano, piano.
Like, yeah, she was like, should try calling back next week, and we'll see whether I'm interested. And so I called back next week. And at that point, her answer was, or I checked back next week by text. Her answer was, I'm not interested in reconciliation. So that's our last contact.
Okay. So close to what one experiences when a loved one dies. So that's your bone to chew on. Mandela had his, this is yours. Thank you. Let's just take a breath. Thank you. Life, death, freedom. What else is alive in you as you contemplate?
In the back there. Hi.
I have a brother who is overpowered by the spirit of alcohol, and he calls me in his wells of despair as he feels a calling to take himself towards death. And I spend hours with him in those periods, and I believe in those moments it's valuable. And the next day he doesn't remember any of it. And I get caught I just wish he could find the love that I know he deserves. And I'm just curious for any insights on, either for his sake or mine, how to be with that.
Hmm.
It's at a point where I'm getting to realize there's nothing I can do. And so now it's about, how do I be with and that's really new for me.
Pete, I don't know. I mean, seriously, I lived with a brother in a similar situation that you're describing, and he's dead now. He left behind a 5-year-old daughter who was the one who called 911 when he died. So I don't know. I tried all kinds of things. Sometimes I had to say, you can't call me like this. And I had to really set a boundary. That was necessary sometimes. But the hardest thing was dealing with my own helplessness. Is that so for you? Yeah. Yeah. What's it like? Can you, right now, as you shake your head and you feel your tears coming, you can see them.
It's humbling.
Humbling, yeah. Well, that's not always bad.
Feel the sadness,
Sadness, yeah.
see a beauty, and I just wish he could too.
Yeah. So sometimes, not always, but sometimes sadness in situations like you're describing, they're the way we love somebody. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily mean all the causes and conditions will change, that he will miraculously change, that you will have the relationship you wish to have. Yeah. But you can love him. Not in order to make anything happen, just because it's your way. It isn't about him even. It's just your way. And that's what will balance, if you will, the helplessness. Yeah. Does that make any sense to you at all?
Yeah, that's super helpful, actually.
Is it?
Super helpful.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I can't say that I figured it out at all. But that way of being was useful for me. Yeah. It just helped me balance what I couldn't escape. And then ultimately, I had to really see, in the end, I had to see that the distinction between compassion, which is wanting to do something for him, other focused, and trying to manage my own discomfort, right? Which is about me. Yeah. So I can't do something for him, can't do something to him that will help just for the sake of managing my own distress. Yeah. Yeah. So I had to sort that out. Why was I doing anything? Yeah.
I love the frame of the sadness being a form of love.
Yeah, of course it is. Otherwise, sometimes it's the sadness over the absence of love, but the wish to love. Yeah. But even that, that's how it is. So, yeah. Oh.
Hi, it's good to see you again, Frank, and of course, Roshi. I'm thinking about the title of this talk, and it reminds me of Bardo practice and how for myself, how I can get back to a different kind of awareness by working with Bardo practice moment by moment. So thank you.
How do you do that?
By recognizing every moment is impermanent, and then we're starting over again. And there's freedom in that, to just recognize that and letting go and embracing the impermanence.
Yeah. Life, death, freedom.
That's right. So thank you.
Nice to see you, Sunny.
Good to see you too.
How many of you think death will come later? Just raise your hands. I mean, impermanence is not later. Constant change is not later. That's what you're pointing us to. Yeah. To live in some close relationship with constant change.
Oh.
If there's a preparation for death, this is the most skillful one, I think. That and learning how to love.
Noah just gave me the high sign.
Oh.
It's we're over time.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah. You know, I thank the people here who shared and those who shared in their silence. At this point in our society, it is really important to go deep.
Mm.
The little fly landed on my little hand, you know. And the going deep is, don't be like the little fly who just landed and took off. The truth of impermanence, as Sunny has pointed out, prevails. But just staying on the surface of things is not adequate at this point. So thank you for being here, Frank. Yeah. And I'm so grateful all of you showed up here. And I'm also looking forward to stirring the pot with you this weekend. But we're always stirring the pot, you know, so yeah.